Congratulations.
All right, so how old do you think I am?
30.
Yes, you in the back.
36.
36?
34.
34?
45. 25.
Thank you.
28.
28, all right. So late 20s to mid 30s. How about her? 23.
23.
I like this crowd.
You're all so much kinder than the last con.
All right.
84.
What did you guess?
I said, I don't play this game because people also misguess. Do not guess my age correctly.
We are also never offended about our ages. Age
Right.
is just a number after a certain age.
And we're asking this to make a point.
It is very much so.
Yes.
Point.
All right. So this is Age to Perfection. I am Darth Claire Cosplay. I have been cosplaying for 21 years. My first con was Animazement 2003. For those of you who don't know, this is not the original building or Animazement. This is a new location. I think it actually started in somewhere else, but when I started going to it, it was at a hotel over off of exit 282 Page Road. So yeah, and so it has grown a lot since I've been going here, and I feel like some of you probably have seen it grow too.
Hi, I'm Snaileditcosplay. I have been cosplaying for 20-something years. This is my first Animazement ever, but I go to other cons, so what do you do?
All right, so I am 41. Yeah, and
Oh, I'm 30, I'm 33.
yeah. So, all right. So obviously we have been around a while and seen a lot of changes in cosplay and the con scene. You know, like I said, I've been going to Animazement since 2003, and it has grown by leaps and bounds. And you know, it's very different from, well, not very different. Like the core is still there, but like there's a lot of stuff that has changed. When I started cosplaying, we could not buy pre-made cosplays. So I made this gorgeous outfit, and I have always made my stuff, partially because I started cosplaying when you had no other option. So like back in the 90s, early 2000s, there really wasn't a lot of pre-made cosplay available, and you just, if you wanted to cosplay, you had to like make something, thrift something, put it together yourself. And you know, obviously that's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, even the materials that were available for cosplay were very limited. It was a lot more of a creative process in terms of making other things work for you from without extra resources
Yeah.
and stuff. Now it's much easier and much kinder
Mm-hmm.
to find things.
Yeah, there's, I think as cosplay has shifted a little bit from like a niche subculture to a pseudo-mainstream thing, of course we've gotten so many more materials available, like EVA foam, all sorts of like fabrics, glues and things that I didn't know about back then, and just, of course, you know, the quality of wigs, like I used my real hair for like a decade because, again, the only wigs you had access to were like whatever Spirit Halloween had, and you couldn't just like go out and buy it any time of year. I actually tried to dye my hair blue once. It did not work well, but yeah, that's the level of hair we were working with back then a lot of times. And of course, the internet had not fully developed as a commerce tool at that point, so just like searching for stuff and ordering things online was very much in its infancy.
Yeah, now we have YouTube where you can go on there and you type in character tutorial, character makeup, character whatever, and 9 times out of 10, there'll be some lovely person who has been like, here's a makeup tutorial for this character, here is a wig tutorial for this character, here's how I made my jacket, here's how I made my pants, here's how I made my shorts, or at the very least, someone showing the costume that they made, or how to put a costume on. Some costumes are incredibly complicated even when you buy, and you're trying to figure out, how do I put this on? And someone on the internet is like, hey, I figured it out, let me show you, and it's very helpful.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely fantastic that we have so many people these days doing tutorials and, you know, showing people how to do stuff. And certainly I think that one thing that we were really bad about back in the day was safety. We were just screwing around and seeing what worked, and while I never seriously injured myself, I'm sure I did some things that are definitely not OSHA approved.
Yeah, OSHA.
But nowadays, there's so much more.
Fumes, blue fumes, heating up PVC. If you heat up PVC, you please open all your windows, do it outside, put on a respirator, please. Not just when it starts smoking, as soon as the heat gun turns on.
Yeah. And so it's fantastic that we have like access to all this stuff that just wasn't available, and I think it's really kind of pushed cosplay forward a lot, because today's cosplayers are standing on the shoulders of giants, so they don't have to like learn everything the hard way, and you know, I think that's fantastic. But it's definitely changed a lot in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and change, as always, sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes it's for the worst. As with the change with the internet also came social media. And social media is amazing because A, it allows us to connect with other cosplayers and part of communities, you know, so you can be like, oh my goodness, now I have friends who also cosplay, especially if you live in a community where people in that community might not cosplay. But you also have people who, oh no, other people in your community don't cosplay, and you have an entire vast internet of people that now can be mean to you. So
yeah.
it's a joy.
It's a double-edged sword, and you know, I think the when I started cosplaying, the only social media was MySpace. I think Facebook came along about a year later, but you have broad access to so many more people. Some of them are great, some of them are horrible, and you know, you just kind of have to take that as it is. And I think social media has definitely influenced the development of cosplay and like how we interact with cosplay. And it's easier to connect to people, but it is a lot harder to do now.
Yeah, it can definitely make the play part of cosplay harder, because people forget that even though they're doing this on social media, you know, and they're enjoying that aspect of it, many people start getting into, oh, well, I have to look a certain way. I have to meet a certain social aspect in order to be accepted by everyone, instead of being, oh, I'm having fun, this is a hobby, this is something I'm supposed to enjoy, this is about what I want, not what random people that I don't know expect.
Yeah. And I think social media is inherently very like appearance focused, so that does kind of that aspect of cosplay being a very visual art definitely gets heightened by social media. And you know, I think it's just sort of a matter of experience to learn how to tailor your feed and, you know, make it work for you. But
Block people.
yeah.
I don't care if they sneezed wrong at you, block them.
But there are some real advantages to it, like, you know, people that you meet at a con that you go to maybe once a year, and, you know, people who you see sporadically, it's way easier to, like, keep up with them, like, connect, really, like, build a friendship, that otherwise, you know, might have been, you know, a little bit slower to grow. Like, we met at a few cons, and during the...
We met at a lot of
cons. I always say that you meet your cosplay friends 5 times before you actually
We
meet
have
them.
so many pictures of each other, but we never interacted.
But during the pandemic, we started sharing memes back and forth and just got to talking a little more regularly.
Because, you know, that's the depth of friendship.
Yeah.
It's a universal language.
Exactly.
So now we've both stayed at each other's houses, so.
And I have, I actually did this panel out in Seattle a month ago. I met some friends on Instagram, one from Seattle, one from Colorado, and you know, talked to them for years. And then a few years ago, I had the opportunity to go out to SakuraCon in Seattle and meet them for real. And, like, you know, now we have a group chat and, like, are making plans to go to multiple cons together. So social media can be a great thing if you use it right, and, you know,
Absolutely.
learn how to tune out the negativity. All right, so is cosplay for kids?
Yes,
Yes,
but
it's not just for kids. But a lot of us, as we get older, start asking, am I too old for this? Short answer, no. But I think that, you know, along with the social media and just a lot of our shows and things that we take in, there is a heavy focus on youth in media and fandom, and, you know, of course, social media really
yeah,
drives that point.
not even just youth, but youthful appearance.
Mhm.
If someone's like, oh my goodness, she's 3,000 years old and she looks like she's 16, and you're like, great, love that.
And if you think about a lot of the shows, like, think about the anime that you watch, how often is the main character over 30? There are some shows, I mean, there are some things out there, but very often, like, every protagonist of some sort of, you know, accidental hero thing is like 20 or 18 or something. And very often, older people tend to get sort of like fixed in like these, you know, very static roles.
Yeah, they're the protector, they are the role model, they are the mentor, they are the dead parent.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they are sort of just like cardboard cutouts to further the hero's journey rather than, you know, dynamic characters in their own right. Again, there are some great examples of older characters who do break that mold, but by and large, it's very focused on the younger characters.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because that's what studios push. They know that most of their audience is younger, and they know that because parents want their children or their teenagers to watch things that are based around them, they make sure that the main character is younger, and then they have all the other characters be younger, older, according to it. Like, we're all aware of, like, why it is the way it is.
Yeah, so I think sometimes we get very fixated on the age and forget, you know, to look at that character as a person, and that sort of translates into real life as well. Like, older people sometimes fade into the background a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, then also I think there's this perception that you have to, like, relate to characters who are your own age, which, you know, I think is kind of silly.
That's the idea, like, well, you're too old to be playing games like that. You're too old to be dressing up and going to a convention and wasting hundreds of dollars. Direct quote. You're too old to be doing that. You're too old to be doing that. going on and on.
Yeah.
The idea is that having fun and enjoying yourself and doing things that bring you pleasure isn't something that is age-based.
And I think what people lose sight of sometimes is that these are fictional characters. So these are not meant to be real representations of like a 10-year-old or, you know, whatever. And who's writing these things?
Adults.
Like, it's adults. And so, yes, they're telling a story about a young person, but it's still like a projection of, you know, and so there should be no age limitation on how you relate to a fictional character. Maybe that character reminds you of something about yourself when you were younger, or perhaps like, you know, it's a way to, you know, sort of relive or work through something that, you know.
Yeah. For instance, a lot of people, no matter their age, will cosplay
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. You mentioned that. She came out in 1992. I was born in 1992. It makes her a 33-year-old thing. Very few people who cosplay from Sailor Moon are the exact same age as Sailor Moon. And that is 100% okay. You can be in your 80s cosplaying from Sailor Moon, in my humble opinion, that is 100% okay. Because she is a fictional anime character, and
And especially when it comes to cosplay, it's not always about relating to the character. Sometimes the costume design is interesting and you just want like a challenge for the build, or maybe your friend is cosplaying something and they want you to cosplay the other character so you can
that
get nice
never
pictures.
happens.
Never. I don't know anyone who does that.
We're literally both doing that.
There's a reason cosplaying off this weekend. She wants to be home.
Oh, that's sweet.
But also, I think sometimes we forget that not everything with young characters is for a young audience. South Park, I think, is probably the best example of that. The characters are 8 years old. If anyone is letting their 8-year-old watch South Park, I'm calling CPS.
They're 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they eventually get to 4th grade, but yeah, still. My point being that, like, just because the characters are young does not mean it's for a young audience. And, you know, also, people don't always look their age.
Especially in cosplay, because
Especially in cosplay.
with makeup and costumes, and some people are amazingly good with makeup. I have friends that I do not recognize. Now that's not just because I have poor eyesight, okay? I do not recognize them just going around, and they'll be like, "Oh, Snailedit," and I'm like, "Oh," because their makeup skills are just like on another level. Like, you changed genders in 20 minutes. How did you do that?
And also, like, we asked you guys how old you thought we were when we came in, and you were way off.
It was nice of you to lie, but
Yes. We were very flattered. But, you know, I think also age and maturity are not the same thing. Like,
no.
I'm 41 years old. Do I
I was
act?
the one who helped her across the street today.
Yeah. I literally, like, walked out
In a red light.
On a red light. So, yeah, no, I'm not anybody's emergency contact because I am the emergency. So I should not be left alone with children under the age of 14. I do teach high school. But yeah, so just because somebody like is a certain age does not mean that they act that age. And sometimes young people are, you know, mature beyond their years. So
Yeah, it boils down to that just because someone has reached a certain age, they're not automatically a mentor. They're not automatically a parental role figure. They're not automatically someone that needs to wake up one morning and go, my life is over. I now must assume the responsibilities.
yeah. And, you know, I think within the fandom and cosplay community, you know, going back to what we were saying, like older cosplayers, like we did things a lot differently back when we started. I think that if people want to take on that, mentor role, we have a lot to offer, like teaching the next generation, but a lot of us come here to get away from our responsibilities, and we don't want to be babysitting people or,
Yeah, like I have friends, like, they literally do YouTube and all that kind of stuff where they do like the tutorials, they do all that and everything else. But when they go to conventions, they just want to hang out with their friends and drink beverages and get a little loopy and all that fun stuff. They don't want to be babysitting and doing all this other stuff because they have responsibilities and jobs and all the other stuff that they do when they're not at a convention.
So yeah, like there is certainly a place and people who like to take on that like mentor parent, archetype, but it's just because you're old doesn't mean you have to fit into that model that society has set up.
Make your own choices.
Exactly. However, that doesn't mean that as you age, things don't change. So, I think I've been going to Animazement since I was 19. At 41, I do things way differently.
See, what's funny is I started cosplaying at the age of 6, and my cosplay game has never changed. I too wanted to go to bed at 6.
I, at 19, was at the rave till 3 a.m. And yeah. Yeah. My first day of Animazement, I slept in my car. Do not recommend. I did get grounded for that. But now I think I went to bed at like 11 last night.
You're so proud.
Yes. And I had to get up at 7 this morning to do a 9:30 panel. So.
Yeah, I know, I'm here too.
Yeah. So, and also just like what you're interested in might change. It doesn't have to, but, I think one great example, if anybody's seen Skate the Infinity. So when I watched that, like all my friends thought that I would gravitate towards Reki, who's like 17. But I ended up gravitating towards Cherry Blossom. And in hindsight, like if I was like in my early 20s, I would have been all over Reki. Like I would have cosplayed the heck out of that guy. Because like he's very similar to me as a teenager. But as an older adult, I, gravitated a bit towards the older characters more. So sometimes you have that shift as you get older. That's fine.
And then sometimes you decide to cosplay both, and that's okay too.
Yep.
You can do both.
And of course there are physical changes that come with aging. No matter how well you take care of yourself, you're still gonna probably have less energy than you did when you were 19.
You will have less energy. It's
Yeah.
not like I might have less energy. Oh my gosh.
And
you'll judge others who have more energy.
Mm.
Even when you're like, I'm not gonna be that old person who's judgy, you will be. Even if it's inward.
Yeah. And, as you age, oftentimes you have health issues that pop up, and you need to take care of yourself and, don't try to be who you were at 19, because you'll hurt something.
I'm talking bare bones basics here, people.
Yeah.
Eat, drink, go to bed. People that come to conventions don't do these things, and then they're like, I don't understand why I can't walk the next day after the con. I'm like, I do.
And the last year and a half, I actually had some very serious medical things pop up, and fortunately it's improving, but the last year I had to really alter how I was approaching conventions, take way more breaks, drink
It's so
some
good.
water.
So proud of her. She's like, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm
Yeah.
like, she's gonna go take a nap.
certain cosplay choices, like, you know, that's not fitting right now because I'm all bloated, so I'll switch things. You know, the shoes aren't comfortable, so I don't care if my shoes are canon. And sometimes you have to, like, make choices about your costume that aren't canon, but for your safety and comfort are, you know, necessary.
Yes, okay, I have a real quick, fun, and easy example. I am disabled. My chair is down there. You can all admire it. It's right down there. And because of that, if I wear anything that's long, it gets in the wheels. And that's a little bit of a safety hazard, as you can imagine. So when I wear long skirts or whatever else, I either have to like tuck them like every 5 minutes, or I exchange the long robes or skirts out for a mermaid tail. Because that makes it a double thing, where it's like, oh, it's a mermaid out of water. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, so good, it's so funny. But also, I don't have to worry anymore about a potential safety hazard of all the robes getting in my wheels. So it's a change, obviously, because the character is never a mermaid, right? But it's a fun little change that takes my safety into account, takes my wheelchair into account, and it's an easy change that makes it an easier, better cosplay for me.
And occasionally you do have a character that is a mermaid.
I do. We won't talk about that because this is an 18+.
Yeah, last year, like, I had some issues with like my knees, and I like was using a cane for a bit, which I was a little self-conscious about because like I'd never like needed that before, but it helped me like be at the convention longer, not worry about like stumbling over things. And so, you know, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and do what you need to do rather than like worrying about how is this going to look, and, you know, is it going to...
Yeah, your body and your health should come before your hobby and stuff. Make sure that in the long term is more important than the short term. Even if you're like, oh, just for this second, I'm going to glue this to my arm. Always in the back of your mind be like, would my mother kill me if I did this? And if the answer is even for a split moment, yes, even if your mother is like not one of those mothers, I would kill you. Think, would Snaileditcosplay kill me if I glued this to my arm? Don't do it, okay? Safety is important, please.
And one thing that particularly at Animazement is very important most years. This year the weather is gorgeous, but it's hot. And some of us are in multiple layers of silk robes with shapewear and wigs, and
Like
normally it's
crazy
90
people.
degrees. Again, very beautiful this year. But you are still hot, but you don't want to overheat. This is also particularly important if you're taking certain medications. Anxiety, like SSRIs, SNRIs, things like that can make you more prone to overheating. So stay hydrated, take a break. You know, if you are wearing a very heavy cosplay, limit your time outdoors. And, you know, also the dealer's room can get pretty stuffy, so don't be afraid to escape to a more
Nowadays too, they've got all these fun little fans. Like they have the ones that you can put around your neck, and they put like air like right here, which is absolutely lovely. They have ones that you can like hold in your hand, and they fit right in your pocket. And those charge like with a battery that you can plug into the wall and stuff. So they have all these fun little ways to cool yourself down. Oh, look at that!
Hand
A
fans.
manual fun.
They sell hand fans in the dealer's room.
They
And
do,
ours out.
they
Like,
do.
go buy one if you're feeling a little...
Another like really good way when you take your breaks is take a wig break. You're like, oh my goodness, but I got my wig just the way I wanted it. Then take it off and then put it back on and get it just the way you wanted it again. Because that will help reduce like all that pressure you've got building up, because it's very easy to get to the point at any point during a convention where you're like, I want to commit a crime.
Yep.
Don't get to that stage. Like, decompress, take the wig off for a bit, drink water, eat a snack, do something small, even if it's just like laying on the bed for a second or laying on the floor for a second, and then put everything back on. Instead of being like, okay, I'm just done for the day, take a break, take everything off for a sec, and then put it back on and see if you're okay. Okay.
And eat something.
Oh yeah, do that. Even if it's something that you're like,
Even if
Snailed
it's
It
a
Cosplay
cookie.
would not call this a meal.
Darth Claire would.
She would call it food. Food is good. Food is fuel.
Yes. Yeah. A cookie is better than not eating anything. So, yeah. So just be careful to like.
Yeah, and as you get older, these things become more and more important
Mhm.
because, to put it nicely, your body just becomes more fragile, becomes more delicate with the way you treat it. It's not going to be able to go all day without eating, all day without drinking. Like, you shouldn't have done that to your body when you're younger, but you won't get away with it as easily
Yeah.
when you get older because you'll have more repercussions. Like, it varies person to person, obviously. Like, don't leave this panel going, Snaileditcosplay said I was weak and fragile.
And for you younger kids who aren't in the drinking phase yet, when you're younger, you can bounce back a lot quicker. But when you're my age, you can't.
Also,
So-
drinking is a choice, and if you don't drink, that is 100% okay.
Right.
There are so many options,
And-
and that's okay.
And you'll probably feel better than a lot of people the next day. So, but if you choose to, then just be aware that as you age, you will it takes a lot longer to recover.
Which means take care of your skin too. Like Korean skincare products, swear by those. Face masks will help rehydrate your skin, especially if you use a lot of makeup. Make sure you wash your face. People are like, I'm gonna go to bed with my makeup on, so the next day I don't have to do my makeup again. Don't do that.
Your
Oh my
makeup
gosh,
won't
don't
look
do
good
that.
the next day.
It's not gonna look good. You're going to dry your face out, and then you can actually lead to all kinds of bacterial infections in your eyes. You're like, oh my gosh, you're scaring me good. I hope you're all terrified.
Yes,
Don't sleep in your makeup or your contacts.
definitely not.
I will come for you if you sleep in your contacts.
Don't.
Yeah, and your feet also.
Don't sleep in your feet.
I have had a scratch and mark
Take
cornea. That is the most
care.
painful thing you'll ever feel.
Yeah. Take care of your eyes and take care of your feet because, first of all, I don't think people realize just how much walking you do at a convention.
Like some of you have to walk. Normies.
Okay. But the average person is probably walking more at a convention than you do in your daily life. So you're walking a lot more. Sometimes you're not wearing the best shoes, and these floors are concrete. That is a triple threat to your feet. So if you're wondering like, why are my feet, feeling like they're about to fall off, that's why. You use them a lot more than you usually do. And so it just becomes, I think, going back to the, sometimes you have to sacrifice canon for comfort.
Nobody looks at your feet.
Nobody looks
If
at
they
your
do, they shouldn't be.
But unless the character has like a really hyper-specific shoe that is very prominent, in which case you can probably figure out a way to do that and like build it onto a comfortable shoe.
Sure.
But like if you think about photos, they're usually from like knees up.
Yeah, like if you want proof that people actually don't care what you have on your feet, when I wear my mermaid tail and people take pictures of me, guess what they forget to include in their picture? My mermaid fin. People don't look at your feet.
They don't look at your feet. So take care of your feet. I also have like some like little compression socks that I sleep in. I wear compression socks around the con. So those are really help like reduce leg fatigue.
Baths at the end of the day too, that can help decompress your muscles.
Soak
You
your
can
feet.
soak your feet, Epsom salts, all that. Like
Exactly.
you're like, but my grandma does that. Guess what?
Yeah.
Someday, if you're lucky, you'll get to be the same age as your grandma.
Grandma has sore feet. She knows what's up. So just you can still have fun, but sometimes you just have to make some adjustments.
You'll have more fun if
so
you
that it
adjust.
can. But there are some great things about getting older, unless you're a banana.
Then you get to become banana bread.
Yeah. So life does not end at 25. I know, like I hear a lot of younger cosplayers in like their early to mid 20s like freaking out about like aging out of cosplay.
So many.
Like that's not a thing. I'm 41. And you know, there are some distinct advantages that come with being an older person in cosplay and fandom circles. For like veteran cosplayers and fandom people, like I mentioned before, we know stuff. We have skills that we've learned and developed over years of screwing around and finding out. We also have stories that we can share. Who knows what glomping is?
I'm sorry.
And if you don't know, it's because of us, and they banned it in the rules. Okay, if you think about that like anime flying hug thing, we used to actually do that to real people. People got hurt. Yeah. So, if you ever go through the rules of go through the rules of the convention and see how many things
They're
are like,
for a reason.
what? I promise you we did it.
Well, you might have.
Okay, yeah, somebody did it. So, and we can tell you why it's there. So, but also as you mature, you know, going back to the social media thing, but also in real life, you learn to curate your friend group.
And if you don't learn to, please start learning how to. Please. It'd be good for you.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times I hear people say like, the cosplay community is toxic, and it's no more toxic than any other social group. Like all social groups, it's people. Some people suck, some people are fantastic, and some people like are in the middle. And if a community seems toxic to you, the toxicity is in the dose.
Yeah.
So think about the people that you're associating with. Sometimes the drama finds you, you can't do anything about that, but you know, if you feel like your experience is consistently bad, maybe like make some new friends.
And like sometimes it can be hard because you're like, oh, I've known these people since childhood, or these are the only people that hang out with me, or whatever, you know. But if they're people that are emotionally or whatever hurting you in any capacity, these are not friends. These are not people that you should be socially hanging out with. Even if they're the only cosplay people you know, there's a huge cosplay community. You can make other cosplay friends who do not treat you badly. I know this because I literally went from friends who left me in another country to friends who will drive all the way to another state to pick me up because I can no longer drive myself. So a real friend, like real cosplay friends, they will treat you exactly the way a friend should. Don't settle. Like, curate your friend group to be people that are good for you and you are good for them.
And that goes for online too. Like if somebody's making you feel bad about yourself, either like directly or indirectly, block them.
Yeah,
you don't have to follow
the
anyone.
block's not personal.
Yeah.
It's just a way for you to mentally and emotionally disconnect yourself from something online that's not good for you. So just move on.
I think you know, cosplay is also a great family activity.
Absolutely.
We've never had kids at this panel before, and I am really happy that we do.
Even though they're asleep.
Yeah. But I think like we forget sometimes that parents are people. Just because you have kids and grow up and have a job and responsibilities does not mean that you stop being a person with interests and, you know, that's growing and learning. And
Absolutely. Because a lot of times people will be like, oh, my parents are boring. Yeah, because of you. 9 times out of 10, your parents are boring because they had you and they gave up everything they enjoyed in their life to make sure that you could do whatever you wanted to do. Now, I realize that a lot of you are like, well, my parents aren't boring, or my parents are boring and it's not because of me. You're probably right. But a lot of times people that are boring, it's because they sacrificed or gave up whatever they enjoyed because they thought they had to grow up and have that responsibility. But you and your parent have that choice to not be that way. So when parents decide to keep cosplaying and they take their children to conventions, and you see the multi-generational cosplaying, you see the multi-generational anime nerds and stuff, it's a great thing because it's people literally choosing to do what they want and have fun versus letting society force them to do what they should do.
Yeah. And like I think it's a great family bonding activity too. Like you're not only showing your children that it's okay to have interests and be excited about stuff, but if you are like a maker, you can teach your children really valuable skills through cosplay.
Absolutely.
Like not only crafting skills, but problem solving skills, perseverance, how to handle bullies, and all sorts of valuable lessons.
Cosplay is such a creative process. So teaching your children like how to make something from nothing, even if it's your child is like, oh my gosh, I want to do a Lego Batman. Okay, let them make the Lego Batman. Help them make the Lego Batman. My nephew wanted to do Lego Batman, and he made it out of cereal boxes. And what was it like the best thing since sliced bread? No, but he was absolutely thrilled. And like from the first thing he made to like now, his skill set is obviously like leaps and bounds ahead, right? But him being able to have that creative process like helped his confidence, because like other areas of their life they can't always control, but kids need that social confidence boost, especially at home. When their parents and their friends and their family are able to like encourage them to do things that they enjoy creatively, it's such a great thing. It's also safer when families cosplay and go to conventions together. I see teenagers and teenagers that are not quite teenagers yet, at conventions all the time in their little packs. And I'm like, where are the adults? Where are your parents? And they're like, we're safe, we're in a pack. I'm like, that's not how this works.
Yeah. I had a point, but I lost it. Yeah, no, it's, I think it can be, I remember. A lot of older people, like, we got bullied for having, like, weird interests and being into, like, sci-fi and anime and stuff before it was cool. I think it's, nowadays, I think that's less. But, it's also, I think, valuable to teach your children that they can love what they love and, be proud of their interests. And, again, that really helps with their confidence if...
It's also cheaper than Disney World.
Yeah, way cheaper.
Speak for yourself.
Teaching them to, like, really embrace who they are, and regardless of what other people think, I think is probably one of the most valuable life lessons that you can impart.
Also, a lot of parents who bring their children to cosplay, or people who cosplay when they're older and stuff. They never had the chance to cosplay when they were younger because maybe they worked too many hours, or maybe they just didn't have the confidence,
Or maybe they didn't know about it.
Yeah, maybe they didn't know about it, but now they have that chance, or maybe now they have adult money, or whatever. And so you see people that are like in their 50s and they just started cosplaying or whatever, and it's an amazing thing because it's someone trying something for the first time, and it's great. It's fun.
And again, it kind of reminds you that adults still have room to grow and develop and engage with new interests. So, it's just because you hit a certain age does not mean you never,
You never stop learning. You never should stop the creative process. There's always something additional out there to add to your life.
Yeah. And also, I think anime fans are probably more familiar with this concept than the general public, but just because it's animated does not mean it's for children.
Oh my gosh.
A couple of particular, South Park, of course, but one of the big ones right now has been Hotel, and what's the other? Hell of Boss. Those are not for children. Nobody under the age of 18 should be watching or cosplaying that.
But you see a lot of children cosplaying from it because it's cartoonish, and therefore parents are like, well, it's a cartoon, so it's fine. And I'm like, I am judging you a little. A lot. You dress your child as a prostitute, I'm gonna judge you.
And I think that also kind of leads into another point that adults deserve to have adult spaces where we don't have to be like responsible. Like there should be spaces where we should have the expectation of not having to watch children.
Yes. For instance, we are both dressed in Chinese outfits from two very different genres. Mine is from a book, an animated series, from an animated and a manga series. Mine is 18 plus.
Mine is older teen. Probably.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When we do like it's a danmai, where it's like people from that genre come to the meetups and stuff, they'll be like, oh, I'm 14. And it's like, this is 18 to 21 plus. Why are you 14 dressed as this character coming to this meetup? It's very uncomfortable for everyone because they're a child. They should not be reading this material. And people are like, oh, when I was a child, I read that material. Well, that's you. That's between them and their parents and all that. This is a public situation. You know, it's just so many different levels of. This is not the time or the place.
And I think that kind of goes back to like life doesn't end at 25. You don't have to do something right now because there's no deadline. Like you, after you turn 18, you have the rest of your life to read and watch more mature content. You don't have to do it right now when it's not really appropriate.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be that constant rush to like, oh, finally we're going to be an adult, I'm finally going to grow up, I gotta grow up, I gotta grow up, I gotta grow up. Enjoy the time as it presents itself to you.
Yeah, other things, adult things will always be there.
Like taxes.
Yeah, but, I think the biggest thing is, when you think about this whole thing of like, aging out, it's like, is that the future you want for yourself? Do you really want to like hit some arbitrary point and have to give up everything you enjoy? No. So
yeah, you're not the Olympics.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like just because you're hearing messages about like, ooh, 25 is too old to cosplay. It's like,
25. There was a 17-year-old who was talking to me at Katsucon, and she said that her cutoff point was 18 because she'd be too old to cosplay.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, it's like, do you want that for yourself? Like, how bleak of a future is that? That's just depressing. So, again, just because you're hearing those messages doesn't mean you have to like follow those rules.
But also, like, if you reach a point when you're cosplaying or literally doing anything in your life where you're like, you know what, I'm just not enjoying this the way I used to, it is 100% okay to give it up or to just take a really long break.
It's absolutely okay to outgrow something, but you never age out. Jim Mahal, I mean, obviously there's, you know what I mean. Okay, so. And, I think it's important to embrace your age as you get older. Because you will get older. It's a fact of life, like you can't stop it. So learn how to embrace it. So we have some cosplays that we want to do when we are old. It's like,
Fingers crossed.
yes. It's not just that, like, yeah, we could do these at any time, but like, I think this would be fantastic to do when I'm 70. So for me, Kaede from Inuyasha, fantastic classic old lady. And then the old woman from the Aristocats, like goals, like lives in a mansion with her cats and dresses fabulously. Like, can you ask for more in life?
She needed to check her employees better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you could ask for more loyal employees, but either way, goals. And you want to do,
Yeah. This is the part where I remind you that I am old and I don't remember their names.
the granny from Tweety Bird and Jocasta New.
Yeah, you're so great. This is why I help her across the street and keep her alive.
I remember stuff she watches for cars.
It's a joint effort.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think like even though age should never dictate what you cosplay, there are certainly some cosplays that I would love to do as an old lady that I think would be so much fun. Do any of you have cosplays that you would like to do when you're old?
Oh my God,
yeah.
yes.
That's a good one.
I saw someone do that at, I think it was Dragon Con. And it was a little old man and a little old lady. And they had one of those like little shaky chihuahuas in one of those push carts. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Lord Yopa from Nausicaa.
Ah. Anyone? Yes.
Baba.
Ooh. Also a good choice.
The rest of you just learn to die. You're doing people costumes. See how it is.
Try this thing. Yes.
I want to do Tron Legacy.
Ooh.
I love Tron.
Yeah. Nice. I have a friend who wants to do Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
One old person cosplay that I'm not waiting to do is Tarkin, because I love Grand Moff Tarkin. It would be easier to do when I'm older because my hairline will just like slowly go away, but.
One old lady cosplay that I have done for years and will continue to do is General Leia.
Yes.
Yeah, actually about 10 years, or when the new Star Wars movies were coming out, I had like that perfect salt and pepper look to do her hair, and I grew my hair out so I could do it with my actual hair.
She looks really good.
Oh yes, that would be fantastic!
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I forgot your name, but I'm still cosplaying when I'm older. I want to do the main character from Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah, so-
Sophie.
yeah, I actually saw at Ichiban Con, I met like a 70-year-old woman who was doing Sophie, and like, it was amazing.
That's so cute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be good. Anybody else?
The old lady from our house.
Oh, yeah.
It's an old.
Yeah. Also going along the theme of not all animated shows are for children. If anybody's seen Archer, I would love to do Mallory Archer. So.
Old lady Integra from Helsing. I've cosplayed Integra like forever.
I cosplayed Silco from Arcane, and I did not like how old people thought I was.
I mean, that is the flip side of doing old people cosplays.
Yeah, but several people thought that the Jinxes that were hanging out with me were actually my daughter, and that was a little bit much.
I also have a friend who wants to do the Queen from the Princess Diaries.
Yes, she's beautiful.
You put more confidence.
Right. And that would be like a great grandmother-granddaughter cosplay if you did that one. And yeah, like a lot of these like old lady cosplays, there's great family opportunities. So.
Yeah, and I saw this mother-daughter duo. They did the older and younger Sophie from Hell's Moving Castle. It was really cute.
All right. So, I forgot the badge ribbons. So if I will try to get those, and if you see me around, you can get a badge ribbon that says you are certified old. But, yes, I'm Darth Claire Cosplay,
I'm Snaileditcosplay.
and you can find us on Instagram. Feel free to follow. And also, like in the guidebook, you can rate our panel and tell them that we were great, so maybe they give us a better time slot next time. All right.
Thank you for coming.
And if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, we'll be here for a few minutes before they kick us out.
Get the joke.
And there goes my badge. Touch it. They're recording your panel.
Panel?
Yeah, they're recording this panel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Could you actually give me
Yeah, if you could. Well, we didn't think anybody was going to come, so we had already planned to film it,
We have
just
no
so we wouldn't be talking to an
We were like, it's gonna be an empty